was more or less my working life.
Okay, so the first question is, when were you born and where were you born?
I was born on April 10th, 1914, in a place called Omro, Wisconsin. O-M-R-O. You probably never heard of it. It's just a little burg.
Yeah.
You've probably heard of Oshkosh maybe because they have clothing.
Yeah.
So we were about 17 miles from Oshkosh.
What year did you start teaching and what caused you to start teaching?
Well, the women in our family were teachers, basically. My mother was a teacher. And that was one of the few occupations women had in those days. And I taught, let's see, I graduated from college in 1935, I think. That's when I started to teach.
How was teaching during World War II?
You might want to go back further than that. How was it when I went to school?
Okay.
I went to a one-room school for 8 years in Wisconsin, and you have to admire the teachers of those one-room schools. My favorite teacher was when I was in the 8th grade, and she had 40 students in 8 grades. And she had to get there early, build a fire, and haul in the water, and we all drank out of the same bucket. She was a wonderful teacher, and I kept in touch with her until she died many years later. But if you ask me now, what was teaching like in the 40s?
Yes.
I don't know, I had probably an unusual situation. It was very hard to get a job in the first place, and then when I finally got one, it was a wonderful job. It was in a rather an exclusive country area of San Diego County, and the district had just the year before the 7th and 8th grades of an 8th grade school had gone to a new district, a new area. They were in a junior high school now. So I had 4th, 5th, and 6th grade to teach, and another teacher taught the primary grades. And I never had more than 20 students altogether. So you can imagine what a wonderful situation that was. And it was a rather wealthy district, and the parents were very supportive. So it was sort of an unusual situation, and I loved every minute of it. When I went back to teaching after my own children were in school and my husband had sort of semi-retired, then I was in a city school where I had 38 students in 6th grade. Plenty of problems, but nothing like 6th grade nowadays. I think they were still a very lovely group to have. That was in the 40s.
How long did you teach for?
I taught a total of 23 years in 2 different times, once before I was married and once after.
Mm-hmm. What was teaching like with segregation going on?
Segregation?
Like,
You know, really, well, when I was in school myself, I never saw a person of a different color than I was. In Wisconsin in those days, there just wasn't anybody.
mm-hmm.
And when I was teaching, I don't think, I had 1 or 2 Mexican children probably. I don't think I ever had a black child. Not because they weren't segregated in the 40s. It just happened to be in the area where I taught, there weren't any black families.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't answer that situation.
We have to think of some more questions for you now. Sorry.
as time went on, like, did you notice any changes in like children's behaviors or actions?
As time went on, children were what?
Did you notice any like differences between these children's you taught?
Their behavior, you mean?
Yeah,
Yes.
something like that.
I think that a lot of that behavior happened after I was out of teaching. You know, I didn't have discipline problems really, and children were much more respectful. I quit teaching in, let's see, it must have been about 1971. And I had no problem with discipline. Children, I think that a lot of that, those problems developed maybe, I don't know when, during the, came later. When did you girls grow up? Let's see, you're about what, 16, 17 now?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you probably grew up when you were allowed to move around in the classroom, or given more freedom, and probably not taught how to use it perhaps as much. I don't know. I mean, I'm not criticizing. I don't know what happened, but I know that there's a lot of difference between the attitude of children
There's
nowadays.
not that much discipline going on now in schools.
And of course, it makes a difference who's a teacher and what area you're in. You know, I had a different situation those days.
Since you were an English teacher, how do you think literary and reading and writing has changed over the years?
Well, I taught all grades, I mean all subjects in the 6th grade for most of my teaching, especially the second time around. But I know now I have great-grandchildren that are not learning to write cursive writing anymore. So when they send me notes, they all send me Mother's Day and birthday cards, you know, it's all printed. And I'm not sure that they could read any cursive writing that one great-granddaughter, she's 10, and she can do both cursive and printing, but most of them, well, that just isn't taught. It's not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
Things have changed. And I think that's